Guys, Brandon, one more time here, and we have almost come to the end of our little journey together. But the last thing we need to talk about is how to close your sales. Because the truth is, you can talk to a million people, but if you can't close any of them, you've just wasted a lot of time and you've not made a lot of money. And closing tends to be probably the biggest problem that people have is in closing. So there's a couple of principles in closing, and we're going to go over those in this video. But first, let's talk about what we have already covered, what you've already learned here. First of all, in the first videos, we covered why digital marketing is the best opportunity available right now. You know, I've been online for almost 20 years, and I've never seen something where people are growing $10,000, $20,000, $50,000, even $100,000 a month businesses so quickly and so consistently as they are doing with this local digital marketing business. And the reason for that, of course, is, as we said, all of these old traditional media methods are just drying up, and businesses are still relying upon them, and they are closing like crazy. They're not getting the leads that they want, and they know they need to be online, but they just haven't quite figured out exactly how to do it. They haven't found anybody that can help them. Then we covered how did Vinny grow his business to over $10,000 a month in just over 2 months' time. Vinny is convicted felon. He has spent time in the penitentiary, had a hard time even getting a minimum wage job, and in just over 2 months, he's been able to grow a business that's making him over $10,000 a month. In fact, it's actually closer to $11,000 that Vinny is making now. And we covered his lead generation method, how he's finding his clients, the source that he's going to. We also covered 2 other lead generation methods with you, 2 other places where you can go to get some clients. So we've covered 3 out of the total of 7 lead generation modules for you. And the last thing that we just covered in the last video is your path to $250,000 a year. A lot of people, they look at that number of $250,000 a year and it seems really intimidating. It seems like it's a lot of money. But I think after you saw the video, the last video on how to get to $250,000, you should have a very clear path towards getting there. And you should have a pretty high degree of certainty that you can do it, and it's actually not all that difficult. It requires closing 1 client a month at only $2,000, which you can absolutely do following our system. So how do you close? So there's a few things that you really need to focus on once you get your clients on the phone with you and once you start communicating with them. The first thing is keep it simple. A lot of people, when they get on the phone or when they're communicating with customers, they're talking about all kinds of things that really the customer doesn't understand. And here's the thing, you have to know what your customer wants. What your customer wants isn't SEO. What your customer wants is not Facebook ads. It's not Google ads. It's not any of that stuff. What your customer wants is more customers for their business, and they really don't care how it happens. What happens though, if you start really talking about complicated things like SEO and this and all this, you make them feel stupid. They don't understand what's going on. And when you make people feel dumb, they start to resent you. They don't want to talk to you anymore. They don't want to hear from you anymore. They don't want you in their life. And so they get rid of you. And so they're certainly not going to take you on as a client if they're wanting to get rid of you in their life. So when you're breaking these things down to people, you just need to talk to them as though they are first or second graders. Keep in mind, when you look at successful communications and things that convert, it's really by bringing things down to a level that everybody can understand. A lot of people make fun of Donald Trump, for example, because he uses 4th grade language. That's the level of sophistication of the language that Donald Trump speaks in. he won the presidency of the United States. And if they look at all of the successful political campaigns, actually, hardly anybody ever gets elected talking above a 6th grade level. Okay? And that's just because when you make people feel stupid, when you talk to them in a way that they have to think about it too much or that they don't understand, they don't want to deal with you. So the first secret to closing is keep things simple and talk to them about what they want, which is that you're going to bring them customers in the door to their business. You're going to bring them leads, you're going to bring them patients, you're bringing them cases, whatever it is that they want. You need to talk about that more than you talk about, Facebook ads, more than you talk about SEO, more than you talk about those kind of things. Keep it simple. Talk about what they want, which is leads, clients, cases, phone calls, things like that. The next thing is that you need to focus on their pain points. Now that's fairly simple. Like I said, most of these people are very confused by technology. They don't really want very much to do with it. Local business holders tend to be older, in their 50s, 60s, even 70s. So the technology thing isn't really something that they want to have a lot to do with. They understand that they need to do it, but they themselves don't want to do it. The advertising that they're doing isn't working very well. The old school stuff, the TV, the radio, the yellow pages, all of these old traditional methods are dying because the internet is simply taking over. People do Google searches when they want to buy something, or people find something on Facebook that interests them, and so they purchase it. And that's the new way that people purchase. And businesses don't understand that. That's causing them a lot of pain. Their businesses are shrinking because they don't understand this. And that pain is your opportunity to come in there and close them as your customers. And then the other thing is follow up. Look, people have this expectation that they will be able to talk to somebody once or twice and that person's just going to be happy and they're going to get a sale. And that's just not realistic. You can close 25, 30, even 50% of your sales if you're patient. You need to just be a little bit calm. You need to seem not so needy. One of the ways you can do that, see, there's some studies. Harvard University did a study, and what it showed is they were researching the buying patterns, how people buy things, and how often they have to be exposed to someone or to someone's message before they become comfortable enough to buy from that person. And it's generally at least 7 times that they have to be contacted by you, that they have to be exposed to you before they're going to purchase your product. So there's various ways that you can do this. The first time that you get a hold of somebody, you send them an email. And maybe you have used the Yext to identify the pain points and the problems in their website and show them how you can solve it. But then you also want to follow up after you sent that. Maybe you talk to a guy named Bob and you're going to say, hey, Bob, I sent you an email the other day. I hope you're doing well. I hope you got it. I'd love to have a chance to talk. Really, it doesn't have to be too complicated. We have an exact formula that we actually use. It's a 7-part follow-up sequence. Another really powerful thing you can use is some webinars, some videos. And again, we have scripts and systems all laid out where you can do that in the follow-up. But the follow-up is really key. Caleb and I sell to lawyers, and one of the big companies that we compete against is a multi-billion-dollar company called Find Law. And Find Law actually has, local people assigned to a region. And these people walk into law offices. And not only do they walk into law offices, they find the families of these lawyers and they even talk to them. They are really doing everything they can to become familiar and for these people to become comfortable with them, to go ahead and sign that up. And so, it doesn't really have to be intimidating though, because you can do this follow-up online. You can do it through email. You can do it through webinars. You can do it through things like that, so that by the time you pick up the phone, people are already like halfway sold on you. They've said, call me, rather than you saying, let me call you. And that's really, the key thing to getting these sales. So we've got this wrapped up, and I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you got a lot of value out of it. I know that already have people using it and landing clients, and if you end up being one of those people, send me a message. I'd love to hear your story and the success that you're having using these methods to close clients and get some clients. And thanks for joining us.